Starting a channel was really the one thing that had the biggest impact in helping me take my art full time. There are just so many opportunities for artists on this platform. It's incredible, but growing a channel is really hard. So today, I want to share my top tips for actually growing an art YouTube channel. And while we're talking, I'm going to be playing some footage from my most recent painting in the background, just for the vibes, just for the vibes. And also, I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Tip number 1 is to really carefully analyze what's working for other creators. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, you want to figure out what works and put your own spin on it. Far too often, I see artists making outdated thumbnails and titles that are years behind the current trends in the niche. When I look at your thumbnails, I should not think, wow, graphic design is their passion. You want to make a thumbnail that is compelling, but at its core, really simple. The current trends right now are basically a single, well-executed photo with some amount of text, maybe like 4 words or less. If you can get it with no text whatsoever, that's even better, honestly. And just a very simple but purposeful approach to design. You don't have to throw in a ton of stuff. You really just want to execute a single concept very well. Same with a title. If you can just get away with a pretty minimalistic title that is relatively compelling, all the power to you. That will probably work even better than if you stuffed a bunch of keywords in there. What a lot of creators try to do is just to reinvent the wheel rather than look at what works. Look at what's working for other people that you watch and really learn from that. Study them very deliberately. Scroll through their channels and take notes about their thumbnails and their titles. Get that pattern recognition part of your brain working. Watch their videos and take notice, like literally take notes of every time they cut to a new angle or insert B-roll or graphics. Approach this like you might a research project. I've found that YouTube really gives you all of the data, all of the information that you need to succeed if you just carefully analyze what's working for you and what's working for other creators that you genuinely really admire. And while you're watching YouTube videos from creators that you love, write down what you like about their videos, not just like the angles and the camera shots and whatever, but like how they keep you engaged, how they structure their scripts or how they tell stories, and how you might learn from that and apply it to your own content. A lot of the most successful creators on the platform are really good at telling a story and being pretty concise about their stuff. They get you to care, but they don't provide any extraneous information. They don't really info dump. They kind of just put you in their world, in this environment that they've created, and they just kind of string you along. And it's nice, it's pleasant, it's like watching a movie sometimes. With educational content, it's a little bit different, right? You want to really respect your viewers' time. You want to make your content concise, to the point, educational. All of these things are studyable. You can really get tons of information about how to grow on YouTube just by looking at what other people are doing that's working. And I think that's just really amazing. And I wish that other beginner art YouTubers did that, because for the past couple of months, I've had the opportunity to give advice to a couple of smaller creators, and I found that they're not really doing that. They're not really studying other larger art YouTubers or other people just in the YouTube community, period, and taking a look at what's working. They're focusing too much of their energy inward, focusing on what they think will work rather than what is actually working. And those two things are far too often very, very different. And tip number 2 is to, of course, make stuff that works, follow the data, but to really make content that you are genuinely passionate and excited about. Feel free to innovate a little bit. Once you've got like a handle on the basics, push things forward, try new stuff. Make things that just feed your soul. People can really pick up on whether that energy is really there. And the quality of your content, again, is so, so important. And it will be affected by how invested you are in the topic and the presentation. This is why you being genuinely passionate about some element of it is so important. That enthusiasm will be infectious. You don't have to love filming or video editing, but you should love some part of it. You should love the art that you're making or the underlying kind of topic of the video, the format of it, something. You should be able to just imbue your excitement into some element of the stuff that you're making. That is so, so important. People don't want to watch you having a bad time. Mostly. There are some exceptions, but like generally speaking, you want to be fun to be around. You want to be compelling or at least relatable. If you want this to be your job, if you want to be consistent, you do have to love some part of the process. For me, I am extremely passionate about business and social media and oil painting and art history, and across my 2 channels, you'll find a very solid mix of all of those things. Making the kinds of videos that help me achieve my goals as an artist and a business owner and rekindle that passion is what makes this job work. If I wasn't passionate and excited about stuff I was talking about, I wouldn't be able to post consistently. Consistency doesn't have to mean every day or every week you're posting something new, but some kind of schedule is genuinely really important to maintain the growth momentum of your channel. Some creators, of course, can get away with posting a couple of times a year and still have vibrant businesses, but you shouldn't take that as the rule. That is very much, in my experience, the exception. Because if you just come out of the gate and you only post a couple of times a month or a couple of times a year, you're not gonna have that recognition. People aren't gonna know who you are. And if they don't know who you are, they can't buy your stuff, they can't love your art. I think genuinely, when you market yourself, you are doing your audience a favor. If you think that people would love the stuff that you're making or would find value in it, you are doing them a favor by putting yourself out there more such that they can find you and get that value. Maintaining that growth momentum of your channel is really necessary. And yes, you should of course be passionate about the stuff that you're making, but you should also realize that sometimes your audience might not share the same level of excitement that you have for all of your interests. Be willing to split things up or only share parts of yourself in order to grow. I know that this sounds terrible and horrible to say, but like it or not everyone is exactly like you. Not everyone is going to be maximally interested in all of the stuff that you are. It's fine to want that. I want that, but it's just not always realistic. For example, oil painting content and studio vlogs just don't really work on this channel. For better or for worse, the audience on this particular channel just really loves me talking about the social media stuff, the business stuff, and not really like the obscure 19th century art history movement stuff. I can see that. Like, that makes sense to me. There are more people that want to hear about the business of being an artist than there are people that want to hear about random 19th century art movements. That checks out to me. And so I did eventually have to create a second channel more explicitly for my painting and art history content to give those videos a better opportunity to succeed in the long term. I'm super passionate about both of those categories of stuff. I love the social media stuff and I love the art history and oil painting stuff. And I'm experienced enough at YouTube to where I do feel comfortable managing 2 channels. But when you're just starting out, you might want to stick with just one idea, one channel focused around a single target audience, rather than trying to create a channel focused around both yoga and screen printing or appliance repair and sculpting. Having 2 entirely separate audiences on one channel is a recipe for disaster. Any given member of your audience is only going to be interested in half of your content, and that's going to be really frustrating, both for you and for everyone watching. And it's going to stifle the opportunities available to you on the business front. Things like brand deals and sponsorships are going to be a little bit harder to come by if your audience is super segmented. I think that I made a pretty solid choice by splitting things up because now I have the opportunity to build 2 kind of different audiences that are both very much things that I'm passionate about and interested in, but that kind of represent 2 different parts of me. The business stuff, the data-driven part of me, and the really kind of artsy, academic, more intellectual part of me. And I think having an opportunity, a place to share both of those sides of me is really valuable, but I would be holding myself back if I ham-fistedly tried to have it on one platform, or one channel rather. But before we get into my last 2 tips, I want to briefly thank the sponsor of this week's video, Squarespace. I've used Squarespace for years and they're an amazing tool for artists, but you probably already know that. You probably already know that Squarespace is my favorite all-in-one website creation platform, that they have award-winning templates and amazing customer support, that they have all of the features that you need as an artist to start displaying and selling your work online. I recently added prints to my online shop for the first time in a while, and I was once again blown away by how easy it was to sell stuff on Squarespace. Their third-party integrations made selling my prints on demand super easy, and with the tax jar integration, I can collect and remit sales tax automatically, which means no more panic attacks about whether or not I'm doing everything right, which is awesome for me. It's just all taken care of and I can get back to creating. And with their fluid engine and amazing design tools, I can make my website look exactly the way that I want without having to compromise on the aesthetics. That means so much to me as someone who cares a lot about how I present my work online. Squarespace can be the central location for your brand on the internet, linking to all of your platforms and serving as a portfolio and an online store and really whatever you need it to be. If you want to try it out for yourself, go to squarespace.com/Kelsey Rodriguez and use code Kelsey Rodriguez for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much again for sponsoring me for the entire year. That means a lot. And now back to the video. And tip number 3 is to really focus on improving consistently the quality of your content. You want your content to really be as high quality as you can manage for the stuff that you have, to invest in materials that will upgrade you when you can, but really to get creative with the stuff that you do have and focus a lot on standing out via high quality content. Really, when I say this, I mean that you should be treating video editing as something of an art form, or at the very least, respecting your audience's time and trying to create something that is at least to the point. If your content is just genuinely not working, you should take a look at what's going on in the filming and the editing process. Treating filming as an art, getting a little creative with it, will help you stand out. It really will. It's fun, for one, once you get into it. You don't need it, of course, but it does genuinely kind of help. And if nothing is working, then give it a go maybe. That being said, you don't have to have fancy equipment. You can, of course, start with your phone, but, big but here, once you are serious about it, I highly recommend that you invest in any used camera that's okay for YouTube. I got started with my phone and then later transitioned into using a Canon M50 Mark I. That Canon M50 Mark I was, I think, $350-ish and changed my life. Like, that purchase made some of my most popular videos of all time and really took my content to the next level. Filming with your phone is really hard. There's the whole sensor issue. Your phone is not probably able to handle low light performance very well when it comes to video. There's storage problems, there's audio problems, it's a whole mess. But having a dedicated camera makes that entire process just so much easier. And now I'm filming on the Sony FX30, which is a more professional grade camera. And again, there was just a huge leap in quality. I'm able to now use really interesting processes in video editing and try out new lenses that I wasn't able to before, or just didn't really do. I'm thinking about using anamorphic lenses on my camera, and just kind of the whole world opened up to me. And I'm able to explore stuff that I probably wouldn't have before, and that's really exciting. Treating filming and editing like an art form has helped me just a ton when it comes to enjoying this job and experimenting more, being passionate about it, and yes, growing, performing well in terms of the metrics and the numbers. And when it comes to editing, I see a lot of artists when they're just starting out kind of phoning it in, or like putting in the bare minimum of effort, thinking that they can just upload their like default Procreate time-lapse video and that will be sufficient. And when it's not, they feel frustrated. And that's really because you're not providing value to your audience. Yes, there is some value in just a straight up time-lapse video, of course, but you need to do a little bit more than that to stand out. You need to have some kind of voiceover, maybe a little bit of an intro, some kind of interesting stuff to your video. And really what this boils down to is editing in such a way that you are respecting your viewers' time. You don't necessarily want to edit like your viewers are looking for any reason to leave, but you want to make sure that you have well and truly caught their attention before you allow yourself to relax a bit and add more breathing room to your videos and to your edit and to slow that pacing down. If you make your video a slower paced kind of video, you want to make sure that there is a reason for that and that it fits the format and the purpose of that video. If you were, for example, trying to make a video about how to tie your shoes, but it was 20 minutes long, I would be very pessimistic about the quality of that video and your ability to communicate information in such a way that respected my time. And tip number 4 is to not draw out the end of your videos. This is a hard thing to get used to for sure, but your videos should only be exactly as long as they need to be.